Howdy there, it's Amelia from Sleepopolis, and I'm back with another weighted blanket review. I'm a writer who reviews sleep products, and I'm a certified sleep science coach, so I'm your go-to gal for all things bedding and sleep. Today's review is all about the Helix weighted blanket. Weighted blankets are the bedding product I never knew I needed until I tried one out. They are so great for calming your anxiety and helping you to relax. So I'm super excited to give you guys the lowdown on this one. In this review, I'll go over the construction and feel of this weighted blanket, as well as give you guys my honest pros and cons about who I think should consider buying it. But before we get started, don't forget to check out sleepopolis.com, where you'll not only find my written review of this blanket, but you'll find tons more reviews on mattresses, bedding, and more. You can also find our exclusive coupons on there that'll help you save a little bit of money. And we've got a little challenge to get this channel to 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so if you want to help us out with that, hit that subscribe button and let's get started. Now, normally when I do reviews, I like to approach it a little bit like reading a recipe. You want to know what all your ingredients are and how they're going to combine together before you taste the final product. Or in the case of a weighted blanket, feel it. So let's go over the construction of the Helix weighted blanket. Let's start off with the outer cover. So this outer cover has two different sides. The first side is made with sheared microfiber and the other side is made of fleece. Now this cover is completely removable and machine washable. And you can see it's got a zipper here that allows us to unzip it and get to the inner blanket, which is attached to the outer cover with these ties right here. This inner blanket is made with 100% cotton and is filled with fine grade glass beads. So those beads are what gives the blanket its weight. And as you can see, the inner blanket uses this gridded stitching to partition the beads across the blanket into little squares so that they'll stay evenly distributed throughout the whole blanket. The last thing you want is for all the beads to clump up and leave dead spaces in the blanket. Now, the Helix weighted blanket is available in 3 different weights: 10 pounds, 15 pounds, and 20 pounds. And it's only available in one size, which is 48 inches by 72 inches. Now, I tested the 15-pound blanket for this review, but when you're choosing a weighted blanket, you want to choose one that's close to 10% of your own body weight. So if you weigh 200 pounds, the 20-pound blanket would be perfect for you. Now, the reason is that this ratio is what allows you to experience deep pressure touch, which is basically the sensation that we get from hugging someone or from other kinds of touch that releases hormones in our bodies that help us to calm down. And hey, we all need a hug sometimes, but sometimes there isn't someone there to give us the hug, so a weighted blanket is great for providing that same effect. All right, enough with these facts and information. It's time to talk about my opinion. AKA, it's time to talk about the feel of this weighted blanket. So to give you guys the best understanding of how this blanket feels, I took it home and I tested it out for a few nights. So here's what I thought. Now, the first thing I immediately noticed about this weighted blanket was the fleece on the outer cover. It looks like an adorable little sheep and it feels like a really nice Sherpa material, which I really loved. I'm always a fan of all things fluffy and soft, so immediately I really loved this feature. Now, this blanket had really great distribution of weight when I was testing it out. Again, that gridded stitching really helps to keep all the beads partitioned and evenly distributed across the whole blanket, so you don't get them pooling on one side or the other. Now, one small thing I did notice though is that when you move the blanket around, you can kind of hear the beads rolling around inside. It's not a huge deal, but that type of noise might be annoying to some people. Now, one thing I have to add here is that this blanket is pretty toasty. That wasn't really surprising to me considering it has all this thick, fluffy fabric on the outer cover. And as someone who's often more cold than hot, I actually really liked how warm and toasty this blanket was. But if you're a little bit more like a human furnace, you might not like how this is gonna trap heat. All right, guys, it's time to go over my pros and cons for this weighted blanket. I'll give you guys my honest opinion about who I think will like this blanket and who should maybe consider a different one. So first, let's go over the pros. Now, my biggest pro for this blanket was definitely the soft outer cover. I really loved the Sherpa-like fleece used on one side and the velvety microfiber on the other. I think this blanket will definitely keep you super warm, and honestly, I think it would be perfect for cuddling up under with a mug of hot cocoa in the wintertime. Next, I also really like that this outer cover is machine washable. The inner blanket on this weighted blanket is spot clean only, so being able to take this outer cover off and wash it will be super helpful in keeping this whole blanket clean. Third, I also really appreciate the gridded stitching that's used in the inner blanket. It really helps to keep the weight distribution super even on this whole weighted blanket. So now let's talk about the cons. So my first con for this blanket would be it's not the best option for heavier people who weigh 200 pounds or more, as there isn't a weight option for the blankets that would allow you to experience the deep pressure touch. Next, I would also say that if you're looking for a cooling or a breathable weighted blanket, this isn't going to be the best option for you. I found it to be pretty warm. Finally, I didn't love that you could hear the glass beads rattling around whenever you move this blanket. It's just a little noisy, so if that's the kind of thing that might bother you, I would definitely recommend a different weighted blanket. All right, guys, we've gone over a lot of information and we're almost at the end of this video. So real quick, let's go over some of Helix's policies. So first, Helix ships for free within the United States, and they also ship to Canada for an additional shipping fee. Next, Helix also offers a 100-night trial period with this blanket, which is a pretty nice length of time for a weighted blanket trial. During those 100 nights, you can test the blanket out at home, and if you decide it's not a good fit for you, you can return it for a full refund. Finally, Helix also offers a 1-year warranty on this weighted blanket. All right, folks, that's all I've got for you in this review. I hope this video helped you along your weighted blanket shopping journey. And if this video was helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel to see lots more videos like this. You can also find my full written review of this weighted blanket over at sleepopolis.com, so be sure to check that out. If you have any questions about the Helix weighted blanket, leave those in the comment section and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.